4 arrested for plotting to bomb New York Muslim community. Former Boy Scouts are accused of planning to attack a Muslim enclave in upstate New York. 3 men and a high school student face weapons and conspiracy charges. At the time of their arrest, they had access to 23 rifles and shotguns and 3 homemade explosives. A lunchroom comment by the student prompted the investigation as he showed students a picture of another boy on his phone and said, "He looks like the next school shooter, doesn't he?" The investigation led police to execute several search warrants and arrest 4 people, including the student who showed off the photograph.
So, I mean, good job. This was the FBI arrested them?
So they were arrested by local authorities, but it was at a high school. I mean, we're talking kids who are 16, 17, 18.
I mean, isn't there supposed to be a government shutdown? Good job, you guys, for doing such a great job. I mean, this is really good for people being able to catch these before they happen, right? Like, good job.
Right.
And so this is obviously terrorism. A lot of people think like you wait for people to be Muslim or something like that for you to call it terrorism just because they have examples of mass shootings that were not called that as terrorists. But I think people misunderstand what you mean when something is a terrorist act of terror or not, by definition. Like it's not based on how many victims there were or how insane it was, right? It's based on the motivations, right? You would call this an act of terror because this was like the motivation was like a political or religious or something like that, right? So this would be an act of terror. But remember, like when the LA shooting happened, right?
Right.
That guy in the casino or whatever.
People in the hotel.
Yeah, people didn't call that an act of terror. And a lot of people say, like, wow, this is racism. If this guy was brown or a Muslim or something, this would be called an act of terror. Like, no, because they didn't know what the motivation was.
Right.
It's not based on how the number of people that got shot. It was based on the motivation. Nobody knew what that guy's motivation was, and you can't call it an act of terror. It has nothing to do with the fact that he was white. These people are... What are these people?
Former Boy Scouts.
Right. These guys are not Muslim. They wanted to kill Muslims, and this is this is definitely terrorism. Is it being reported in the news as terrorism?
Well, they didn't get arrested with anything related to terrorism. So far there's been no federal charges filed. They were arrested with criminal possession of a weapon and conspiracy, neither of which are federal charges. Now, whether or not they will be charged in the future, I mean, has yet to be determined. But I think one of them is a juvenile, and the other 3 are legal adults in the state of New York. So I mean, one's being charged as a juvenile, and I believe that he's the one who showed the photograph.
Okay, so some of the top comments are actually very disturbing on Facebook. One of the top comments is saying you should have let them. As in, you should have let these people kill the Muslims? Holy fuck.
Wow, really?
Well, I mean, I don't know. So it got 27 likes, 5 hearts, and 18 angry faces. What the hell, man?
I don't think these people understand what they're saying. Like, they just think that it sounds, bold and, like they're actually saying something, but I don't think they actually understand the implications of their words.
I mean, I think they do. I think they're just assholes. What the hell, man? That's crazy. Let me see if it got any sort of reaction, this comment. You support murder, okay, for the right reasons, yes. Jesus. So Alan is saying you should have let them. Mark responded, so you support murder. Alan responded, for the right reasons, yes. So this Alan guy thinks that if they're Muslim, it's good to kill them. Jesus. Lenny saying, yeah, why did they stop them? Oh my God, Lenny. Maybe these people are like reaction junkies. I don't know if they're, they just want to see if they could piss people off on social media. I don't know what.
See, I really want to I don't know if anybody's done this. It hasn't really been pointed out in anything that I've read, but I really want to thank the student who came forward, who told somebody about this, whether it was the principal or their parents or authorities. Like, somebody saw this and recognized it as being very harmful and very potentially violent and cost somebody their lives, and they said something. So I mean, if that, who knows what would have happened? I mean, there were already 3 homemade bombs. Like, I can understand, with us living in the United States, somebody having weapons. I can understand the rifles and shotguns, but 3 homemade bombs, they actually planned something. Like, this is something that they were going to do.
But that's not the debate here, Jim. We know that they were planning on killing people. I mean, I saw the police report. They know that if they didn't stop this, people would have died. The issue is, like, this shows the problem that we have within the atheist community. Like, he's getting some support as well. Some people are saying, yeah, they support his stance that you should have let them, they should have been killed. Again, these are things that we shouldn't shy away from. The fact, like, as atheists, we should admit that there are some horrific views within our own community. We shouldn't try to, we shouldn't act tribalistic and try to present our community as, like, completely clean and better or any way. Like, I mean, maybe on average, but I don't know. When we see stuff like this, we need to point them out and call them out.
I agree.
So Nick is saying, are people actually applauding these people for plotting a bombing? Ignorance at its finest. Just because they believe in fairy tale doesn't mean they should die. Thank you so much, Nick. Actually, that's the top comment.
Good.
So because Facebook, I know why Facebook doesn't show Nick's comment at the top, even though he got more reactions, is because Facebook also takes the number of replies a comment takes into account when it decides which comment should be at the top.
I know it also takes into account the ones that you've responded to.
Yeah, but we didn't respond to any of it. So Andrew is saying, wow, this post really brought out the militant anti-religious. I wouldn't call them militant anti-religious, Andrew, because I'm a militant anti-religious. But I don't, I think this is something different. This is not fighting ideas. This is fighting people.
There's a difference between being militantly anti-religion and being a militant anti-religious person. So I'm not against I'm not against religious people. Right. I'm against the religion.
Exactly. Muhammad Yusuf Ali is saying, as an atheist, violence is still violence and it's wrong. I mean, you don't have to say that. I mean, as an atheist, as anybody. I mean, but I'm Yeah, Muhammad, you're right. Okay, so I'm not gonna be too picky about that. William, looks like these guys took their last D&D. No, just a joke. Not all heroes wear capes. Jesus! Thomas is calling these people heroes. Wow. Okay, so people, this is proof of how toxic our own community can be. Okay, notice this. And don't deny it if next time somebody points it out, okay? The best way to improve is to admit the issues that you have within your own community.
Jack McAllen in the YouTube live chat says, this is another example of why atheism doesn't automatically make someone a good person. With or without religion, bad people are bad people. Absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And we should never claim that. We should never claim that, just because we point out, religion is bullshit. We're not saying without believing in some bullshit, that doesn't mean that you don't believe in some different kind of versions of bullshit. Religion is just one brand of nonsense and one brand of barbaric and violent viewpoints. There are other brands as well. So you're definitely not anybody to me, that anybody that is surprised about this, I'm surprised by them. Like, whenever somebody comes and says, I thought atheists are supposed to be more intelligent, or I thought atheists are supposed to be better people or kind or humanist or something, like well you're part of the problem. How did you think that? That assumption, it doesn't make any sense. Let me see, there's some good comments on Facebook. That's because atheism is not a monolith, school of thought. Exactly, it's simply not believing in God. Hence the vile comments. Exactly, Yuval. I agree with that.
Not even Facebook, but atheism isn't a monolith.
Yeah, I mean, just because you're right about something, that doesn't mean you can't be wrong about many other things. Mona is saying thanks so much for your so important discussions. Love you. Oh, we love you too, Mona.
Atheists are under attack in many places. If they were Christians, their voices would be heard. If they were Jews, their voices would be heard. If they were Muslims, their voices would be heard. But they are atheists, and not many seem to be listening. Let's make it difficult for them to ignore us. We have built a global community, and now we are tearing down geographic, cultural, and language barriers so we can find each other and support each other. In the last decade, we have built the largest atheist community in the world. Now we're doing the same in other languages. With your help, we have started Atheist Republic in Persian and Arabic.
انضميت مؤخرا لأسرة Atheist Republic وحيصير عندي بودكاست باللغة العربية.
As we grow, we can dedicate more time, staff, and resources to start doing the same in Spanish, Portuguese, Malay, Bengali, Urdu, Hindi, and other languages. We are providing community, support, informative content, and amplifying the voices of those who need protection, especially in countries where people feel isolated simply for their lack of belief. We want to be there for them, and we are only getting started. Help us get there. Check in the description for ways you can support our projects.